welcome back to episode 3 of Industrious. I'm your host, Micaiah Shaw, and I'm happy to have you all back here after our brief hiatus for spring break. And today we're going to be discussing meal planning. Now, my last 2 episodes, where I was reading my senior thesis to you all, sharing it over my podcast, was very formal in a way because I was just reading from my previously written work. Now we're getting more into what I hope the podcast will be in the future. Just sitting, chatting, very little script, mostly just an outline, hopefully very little rambling. And today, I hope you can forgive me for my bit of a nasally voice. I've been sitting over a cup of tea hoping it will go away or not be as noticeable. But we are going to jump into a discussion of meal planning that was inspired by a talk I had with a friend recently. It's very interesting to me how different people go about planning their meals for their families or just themselves each week, what people think is important in that process, and some ideas that people might not have thought of before. So I have tried and tested a few different methods of meal planning in my time, which has been a rather short time, but I do like trying on different processes to see which will fit best at different times in my family's life. I think I've mentioned it before, but I am married. I have 2 little boys. One of them is an eater. The other is still breastfeeding. He's only 6 months old. But we've done multiple different meal planning methods for our little family. And I think meal planning has multiple different benefits. I think it can streamline your shopping. So when you're going into the grocery store, it makes the whole grocery shopping trip a little less intimidating, a little less stressful, hopefully. And it can make impulse buys less frequent, hopefully. I think it can also provide a helpful framework for creativity. So I am of the belief that if you have rules for different things in your life, different ways that you do things, it's easier to go about breaking those rules or being a little more creative once in a while, making it a little more special. So those are the things that I think meal planning can help you with. Also, I didn't mention it, but I think it can help you stay on your budget as well. So that's in the streamlines shopping category. Some different methods that we've tried out for the whole meal planning question would be themed nights. So I've heard of different people using this. It's definitely not new. The whole idea of Taco Tuesdays every week, or maybe even every other week if every week is too close together. So maybe Tuesdays are for tacos, Wednesday is spaghetti, maybe Friday is your pizza night as a family before movie night, different things like that. Just having set nights that are on a certain theme where you can do different types of tacos every week. It doesn't have to be the same recipe, same ingredients every week. Could be fish tacos one week, chicken tacos the next, maybe fajitas, you switch it up a little bit. So it just helps you have a preset theme or a preset guideline to go from, and then allows you to be creative from there. It takes a little bit of the stress out of the decision making when you sit down to write up your meal plan for that week. Another method I've heard of, and I've used once or twice, but I don't think it really fits the way my brain works, is planning from pantry or your freezer. This process involves looking at all of the ingredients that you currently have in your pantry, things that have, for one reason or another, not been used already, and then planning meals around those things so as to use them up so that they're not just being wasted or just sitting there for months and months. It's supposed to save you money. I don't know if the way I've done it in the past actually worked that way. I haven't had a ton of space on hand in the past, so I don't know that I have always had a lot of pantry goods to work through, or especially freezer goods. Our freezer is very small, so I don't keep a lot of things around for a long time. But for some people, especially with bigger families or with more varied meal tastes, I think sometimes if you do very specialty meals, you'll maybe make one meal with a very specialty ingredient and then not get around to using that ingredient again for a long time, and then you find it in your pantry a little while later. And if you're using this process, you can see that ingredient and think, oh, we haven't had that specialty meal for a while. I think I'll make that this week. So that's kind of the idea of this process, to go through your pantry, write down what you have. You can be as detailed or not when you're writing down that list from your pantry. It's up to you. But you work from that. You plan some meals that would use up as many of those items as possible. And then you write down the ingredients that are left over that you would need to purchase from the store. That's the idea behind planning your list from the pantry or the freezer. And then another method that I currently use and have liked for the longest time is kind of a 4+1, a tried and true plus new method. I've arbitrarily made up these names for these methods, so don't try to look them up or anything. I don't think that it's an actual title for each of these methods. But this idea is based on the fact that I usually make 5 dinners a week, Monday through Friday, because our weekends, I'll get to them in a little bit, our weekends we're very blessed and eat meals other places. So in my 5 meals a week, I like to normally do 4 recipes that I know and that I do semi-regularly, not on a weekly basis, but I have a rotation of recipes. And then I'll try to do at least one new recipe, something that I haven't tried before or I've seen on Pinterest or Instagram and it looked yummy, so I want to try it. So that's my tried and true and new method. And what usually happens with this is on Sunday nights, I'll write out my 5 meals that I want to make, compile all of those ingredients into my shopping list. And right now I've been doing a combination of Walmart grocery pickups. So I go ahead and throw those ingredients in my cart on my app and pick them up on Monday. And then some items will need to be grabbed in bulk or at other stores that Walmart doesn't carry something. So I'll have to run around town a little bit to collect a few other things. But that's usually pretty minimal because I try to avoid running around town collecting lots of little ingredients with my 2 boys. So far, this method has been the method that works best for our family for the longest. I will change it up every once in a while, and there will be weeks or a month or 2 where I decide to get very creative and end up with more of a 4+1 inverted plan where I make 4 brand new recipes and only 1 tried and true recipes, and then I burn out very quickly because making that many new recipes in 1 week is a little bit trying on me. Can be a little overwhelming. So getting back to the weekends that I mentioned earlier, our families, both my husband's and mine, live in town, so we spend Saturday nights at my parents' house for their Sabbath feast, and my mom usually cooks dinner, and I bring a side or a dessert. And then on Sunday, the same sort of thing happens, but with my husband's family. We go to lunch after church at their house, and we bring a side or dessert. So my weekends, I like to classify as more of fun cooking or baking. I get to pick something that's not as important or not as time consuming as an entire meal, and I can be a little more creative with it. There are times where I have time to do something brand new, try baking a cake, which is not a forte of mine, but I'm working on it, or do a side that is very commonly, known and loved. I'll mix it up. Sometimes I'm looking to be a little more adventurous, and other times it's just whatever I have time to throw together. Maybe a salad. When it comes to lunches, breakfasts and lunches, breakfasts around here are very much raid the pantry, grab a bowl of cereal, or make eggs, do some sausage. It's very, very relaxed around our house. Try to keep a few different breakfast options on hand, and then I'll rotate those breakfast options through every couple weeks so that we're not eating fried eggs and sausage every month of the year, every day of the month. So I usually rotate. Sometimes there'll be waffle fixings on, sometimes there'll be bagels, and sometimes there'll be eggs, like I said, and every once in a while I'll make a French toast casserole or something fun to have in the fridge. And then for lunches, we normally do leftovers or sandwich fixings, salad fixings, regular cold cut sort of things to have on hand. Lunches are not fancy around here. Before having children, I would try a little harder to meal prep for lunches. Maybe over the weekend, we put together a whole bunch of different packed lunches to have ready in the fridge, but we haven't had that kind of time recently. So I have had a request from my husband recently to make some breakfast sandwiches again that I've done in the past. Freeze them, English muffins with eggs and sausage, freeze them, and ready for him to pull out every morning, pop in the microwave, and take to go in the car on his way to work. Another item in the meal planning vein is snacks, something that I have recently been struggling with for who knows what reason. I am not very inspired when it comes to snacks. I usually look at my grocery list like, what sort of snack will we need this week? I'm not sure. For the little kiddos, it's a little bit easier. Goldfish is a real winner. Every once in a while, we'll mix it up with fruit snacks or graham crackers, or try to rotate those a little bit as well. Keep it. Variety is the spice of life and all that. But when it comes to snacks for adults, I find myself offering popcorn all the time. So I'm currently trying to get better at this and would welcome any and all recommendations or advice on how to be better at having snacks on hand. I aspire to be my mom, who has energy bites, peanut butter, chocolate chips, oatmeal, honey, no bake bites on hand in the fridge at all times. That's what I need to be doing. And it's not difficult. It's just not something that I have worked into my life yet. Maybe someday. So what do you all think about meal planning? Hopefully this was a helpful, maybe insightful podcast for you all this week. Hopefully my nasally congested voice wasn't too terrible to listen to, and it will be gone next time. Do you all meal plan? What's your method? Do you like your current method? Do you think it affects how you cook? What you cook? Let me know. I'd love to hear back from you all. Until next time, this is Micaiah with Industrious.